A warning shot aimed at the president's border wall project, the plan to stop California companies who want to help build it.
I do believe in the people. So we, the people, el pueblo, are the ones who are bringing the change.
Starting over at the border, the community helping Haitians get back on their feet. And searching for signs of a long life, check out your bank account. The lifespan gap between the rich and poor in San Diego. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. A teacher and a student were killed today in a shooting at an elementary school in San Bernardino. Police say the suspected shooter was the teacher's estranged husband. He also died in the apparent murder-suicide. Police believe stemmed from a domestic dispute. Another student, a 9-year-old boy, was wounded. He's currently listed in stable condition.
The children we do not believe were targeted. The entire incident was limited to a single classroom on the school campus. The suspect had come to the classroom to visit the adult female that was in the classroom. We believe the 2 children were the unfortunate recipients of injuries by being in proximity to the female at the time of the incident.
The adult victim was 53-year-old Elaine Smith. She was a teacher in the special needs classroom for students in 1st through 4th grade. A California state senator will introduce a bill this week to prohibit the state from contracting with any person or company that helps build President Trump's border wall. KPBS Frontiers reporter Jean Guerrero has the story.
Ricardo Lara, a Democrat from Los Angeles, says the border wall is wasteful and unnecessary. His bill is meant to discourage California companies from participating in the construction. He says the wall will hurt the state's economy, which benefits from cross-border commerce. Last month, California lawmakers wrote another bill that would punish companies involved in Trump's wall by taking away their access to state pension funds. At least 3 of the companies that submitted border wall proposals are in San Diego. They argue that the wall isn't a political issue for them and that they just want to create jobs here in San Diego. I spoke with San Diego State University finance professor Seth Kaplowitz earlier today. He says these bills would shift profits out of the state. He argues it's not fair to local companies.
They see it just as a source of getting revenue to keep their businesses going and to prevent funding for them because they've chosen to do this particular job, which is particularly legal, is going to be a stretch to enforce.
One of the San Diego companies that wants to build the wall, RE State Engineering of Barrio Logan, called the latest bill disappointing. Another company, V-Scenario, said last month's bill could end up driving up the cost of the wall and shifting profits to foreign companies. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
A protest outside a federal courthouse in Sacramento today marks the beginning of a 3-week rally against federal deportation policies. Public employee union reps say they will travel through California to Arizona and Texas to speak out against the president's border wall and in favor of sanctuary city and sanctuary state policies, like the one making its way through the state legislature. Union representatives say the goal is to protect the rights of immigrants regardless of their legal status.
They're also more vulnerable of being victims of their employers as a means of wage theft or exploitation in the workplace, because that fear of status makes you more vulnerable. And so in this case, when workers work without fear and understand their rights and understand they have rights regardless of status, they're less likely to be victims of crimes or victims of exploitation by their employers.
The California Values Act, or SB 54, must pass the Assembly before Governor Brown can sign or veto the bill. Following up on the grounding of Navy trainer jets, now we're learning the grounding of the jets has been extended for at least another week. The 3-day operational pause was first announced last week. This follows complaints from pilots about the oxygen system in the cockpits. The extended grounding gives Navy leaders more time to investigate and to ensure crew members are safe. After a rocky start, the USS Gerald R. Ford is testing the waters. It's the first ship of its kind with highly advanced technology systems. The nearly $13 billion aircraft carrier left Virginia on Saturday for a test run. This after an almost 2-year delay because of technical issues. The ship will go through another trial once it comes back to port. California farmers are calling for the construction of more water storage on the heels of Governor Brown's call to end the state's drought emergency. Water managers continue to call for conservation, but farmers say conservation won't be enough.
We've got to have more water supply. Otherwise, we're going to live in a constant state of insufficient water for farms, for urban areas, for our environment. We're just mismanaging the supplies we have now. And it's because we're not investing.
4 counties in California remain under drought orders, including Fresno, King, Tulare, and Tuolumne. State lawmakers are taking a closer look at pot rules from the governor's office. The 92-page proposal is trying to align state medical marijuana law with Prop 64, which legalized recreational marijuana use for adults. The plan sets limits on the size of marijuana cultivation. It also recommends creating 2 different sets of licenses, one for medical and one for recreational use. The proposal will be debated in the state assembly and Senate before going back to the governor for final approval. Hundreds of San Diego educators protested layoffs today. They rallied outside Madison High School. Recently, San Diego Unified School District sent out nearly 1,500 pink slips. Officials say it's an effort to plug a $124 million budget hole. Now employees on the receiving end will have to fight for their jobs. This week, there will be hearings for district workers to contest layoff notices.
You'd have to increase class sizes. You would have to put teachers in there who are not experienced like we are to take care of those kids. So it would be a disaster.
District officials expect nearly 300 educators to take part in this week's hearing. They'll find out in May, when the budget is finalized, whether theirs is one of the jobs spared. Do you want to know how long you'll live? One place you can start to look for hints is your bank account. For this week's News and Numbers, iNews Source reporter Leonardo Castaneda takes a look at what the role of income plays in San Diegans' life expectancy.
Men in the top quarter of income earners in the county can expect to live almost a decade longer than their counterparts in the bottom quarter of income. That's according to the Health Inequality Project, a collaboration between researchers at Stanford, MIT, and Harvard. For women in San Diego, the gap between the top and the bottom of the income scale is about 4 years. The money itself isn't necessarily what determines someone's health. However, it can help predict factors such as access to medical care, healthy food, and safe neighborhoods with outdoor spaces and good schools. In San Diego, the community of City Heights has been identified as not having enough parks. Residents there work together to build a skate park, which a study found can have a positive impact on the health of kids that exercise and play there. The Health Inequality Project looked at almost 600 regions throughout the country, analyzing 14 years of life expectancy data to compare one region to another. An average of life expectancy raised from 2001 to 2014 listed San Diego as the region with the 6th highest life expectancy for low-income residents in the country. 5 other California cities were in the top 10. To see how San Diego compares to the rest of the country for life expectancy, go to iNewsSource.org. For KPBS News, I'm iNews Source reporter Leonardo Castaneda.
Bottleneck classes. That's what college administrators call those large 500-seat general education classes students take as freshmen. As many as 40% of students end up having to retake them before they can move on with their majors. KPBS education reporter Megan Burke says San Diego State may have found a solution.
Are you here for SI? Yeah, can I get your red ID to sign in?
Yeah. SI, or supplemental instruction, is helping more college freshmen pass their first big lecture classes.
You remember what Dr. L said during lecture about that?
The university began hiring undergraduates last school year to lead the study sessions.
Yeah, inappropriate emotional responses.
Oh, it's like laughing at a funeral?
There you go.
Unlike nearby test prep companies, SI is free and geared more toward teaching students how to learn like college students, not cram like them. Administrators say 2/3 of students who came to SI with D's and F's had passing grades at the end of the semester. Omar Ceballos is a child development major and says he's brought his psychology grade up from a D to a C+ since January.
Probably without it, I probably wouldn't be this far in class.
He says learning in a 500-person lecture hall can be tough.
So sometimes people raise their hand. Sometimes some people don't because they're shy. So sometimes something won't get answered. So these SI sessions help with understanding what we want to learn and need to learn too, and not be afraid to ask for help.
SI isn't just about improving student transcripts. It's helping San Diego State make the grade when it comes to graduation rates.
To stay on track for 4-year graduation rate, ideally, is what we're shooting for all students. And also just from expense related, if they have to repeat a laboratory, they're paying for it. We're investing more resources that could be focused on the next student coming in.
San Diego State plans to supplement more classes with SI next semester. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
Hundreds of Haitians are stuck in Tijuana after the U.S. stopped allowing them in on humanitarian parole. Rather than go back to Haiti, many have decided to stay in Mexico. In a follow-up to her report last fall, KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero tells us how some San Diegans are helping the Haitians start over south of the border.
Nomás traigo un carro, no traigo la ven. Entonces lo que alcance ahorita a caber en el carro.
Hugo Castro is buying food and cleaning essentials at Tijuana's wholesale market in bulk.
We are shopping.
Castro is with Border Angels. The San Diego advocacy group started SOS Migrant, Adopt a Shelter. The project supplies Tijuana shelters with donations.
Y arroz, y a ver, no me faltan los vegetales, pero. And we're trying to provide the basic food needs in order to at least survive, because many of them doesn't have not even enough food for a meal.
Tijuana has 38 shelters struggling to feed hundreds of migrants and refugees. Most are Haitians whom the U.S. recently started excluding from special humanitarian parole options.
For some of them, it's like a limbo stage. For many of them, it's a purgatory.
Castro stuffs his car full of boxes and bags with oatmeal, spaghetti, rice, cooking oil, and cleaning bleach. Normally, he uses a big van, but it was unavailable today.
We are heading to 3 shelters downtown TJ, next to the border.
The first shelter, Mejor Herencia, is empty of migrants, except for Carlos Pierre from Haiti. Pierre explains that everyone is being kicked out of the shelter.
Te dice antes el pastor un albergue, pero después dice no, aquí son iglesia.
The Mexican government is offering Haitians humanitarian parole or refugee status and has advised the shelters to encourage Haitians to integrate into Mexican society. Pierre is waiting for his appointment with Mexican immigration officials. For now, he has no status and can't find a steady job. He says he's been searching for food and work all morning and has no idea where he's going to sleep.
Está complicado, no encontrar. Buscando todo lado, no encontrar.
Like thousands of other Haitians, Pierre trekked through Latin America's most dangerous countries to get here. He thought the U.S. was letting Haitians in. That was true until last September. Now, Haitians who cross are placed in detention centers and deported to Haiti.
Más o menos yo gasta $4,000 llegó aquí. En Haití ya yo no tengo nada. Todavía por eso yo quedo aquí. Yo quedo aquí en Tijuana, pero si yo no puedo cruzar, yo voy a arreglar mi papel aquí.
When he can find work in Tijuana, Pierre earns the equivalent of $10 a day, doing odd jobs like construction. After paying for food and buses, he has no money for rent, let alone to support his son in Haiti, which is his priority.
Nosotros tiene hermano, hermana, hijo, todo allá. Pero, ¿cuánto tiempo vaya a hacer trabajo para mandar $50? Mucho.
Outside the shelter, I speak with Castro, who can't leave the donations he brought because the migrants are being removed.
So I'm going to ask the assistant director what is going on, because buenas tardes, ¿cómo estás? Buenas tardes. ¿Sabes qué? Bien desconcertado porque no entiendo lo que está pasando, de que traíamos donaciones para dar, ¿no?, a los migrantes, Y ahorita pues ya no están.
Ya se están yendo.
Pero me está diciendo que los corrieron, no que se están yendo.
Simple y sencillamente, si el pastor tiene planes personales de que hasta esa fecha podían estar, la puse y punto.
Lozano says the Mexican government is no longer supporting the shelters, so he's left asking the migrants to figure things out on their own. That's why groups like Border Angels can be a lifesaver for migrants.
Pero le vamos a traer algo nomás a ellos, a los que están aquí. ¿Sí nos dan permiso de eso?
Castro takes Pierre to a Haitian restaurant in downtown Tijuana. He buys chicken and rice for him and his friends.
We got chicken, man. We got to shoot it.
Finally, Castro distributes the donations he brought to various shelters that are still operating. Castro also brought toys for the Haitian children.
¿Quieres? ¿Sí?
At another shelter, full of improvised tents, Castro explains why Border Angels started SOS Migrant. He says the shelters can't rely on Mexico's president or other officials.
I don't believe in the leader. I don't believe in the U.S. president, but I do believe in the people. So we, the people, el pueblo, are the ones who are bringing the change.
He says he sympathizes with the Haitians because they're fleeing violence and extreme poverty.
They prefer to be in these conditions than to be back to Haiti. And we are helping them, trying to improve the conditions of the shelters. That's the reason we need all help possible.
SOS Migrant is helping 18 shelters in Tijuana right now, but Castro says he'd like to expand it to include all 38 in the city, and eventually 12 shelters in Mexicali.
Listo.
Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
Well, it looks like the sunshine isn't leaving San Diego anytime soon. Regina Miller has tonight's forecast.
Well, taking a look across central and southern California over the last 6 hours with our satellite, you can see how we've had some pretty quiet conditions. A couple of showers were just across the coastal areas of northern California earlier on, but that's pretty much it. Not much activity out there. Looks as though it's going to stay quiet as we go through your Tuesday as well. Now, for tonight, 56 degrees. We have partly cloudy skies in the metro areas. Taking a look at some other locations here in Ramona, we're at 40 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. Mount Laguna at 39 degrees, and in Borrego Springs will be at 54 degrees for your overnight low with just a few patchy clouds in the area. For your Tuesday, generally dry. Any showers are likely to remain north of San Francisco. As you head farther to the south, quiet conditions here. It will be cool into parts of Southern California. And then for the late week, we have more in the way of showers moving in, but none of those should be moving far enough south to cause any impact, really. So for your Tuesday in the coastal locations, we have some sunshine, a temperature of 70 degrees. On Wednesday, we're partly cloudy, also at 70 degrees. We drop a little bit in temperature for Thursday and Friday. We'll have clouds and sun on Thursday at 68, mostly sunny and 68 for Friday. And then for Saturday, partly sunny and 70 degrees. Inland, we have partly sunny skies, a nice looking day for your Tuesday, 77 degrees. On Wednesday, partly cloudy and 76. On Thursday, partly sunny, a nice day with a high of 70. Friday, mostly sunny skies and 72, then some sunshine mixing with a few clouds on Saturday and 73 degrees. In the mountain locations, we have partly sunny skies for Tuesday at 60 degrees. We will see those temperatures going down for the late week. On Wednesday, mostly sunny and 61, but by Thursday, we're at 56 degrees with overnight lows dropping to 38 degrees by Thursday night in the mountain locations. Mostly sunny and cool for Friday, 58 degrees and 59 on Saturday. In the desert locations, we're at 89 degrees and partly sunny for Tuesday, mostly sunny and warm, 89 degrees for Wednesday. On Thursday, a little cooler. We're back to 84 degrees with a partly sunny sky. The overnight low will drop to 52. Mostly sunny for Friday with a high of 84. And on Saturday, sunny skies with a temperature also in the mid-80s. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
Coming up tonight on PBS News Hour, conflicting positions on sanctuary cities in California. One farm worker worries her time in the U.S. could be running out at any moment.
I left my family behind, my parents, my brothers, in Mexico, so I could come here to work. I've continued to work and never stopped. It's heavy, heavy labor. I fear that at any moment I can be separated from my children.
And less memorization, more critical thinking. A former Microsoft executive looks to improve Ghana's education system. That's tonight on PBS News Hour, starting at 7, right here on KPBS. On tour now, a San Diego singer with a growing fan base thanks to a hit reality TV show. From the Medill News Service, reporter Alex Whitler shows us how Brian Justin Crum is hitting all the right notes.
A San Diego celebrity showed up here in D.C. for the National Cherry Blossom Festival Parade. He joins people from across the country who make their way for the annual event. He's the breakout star from season 11 of America's Got Talent. Brian Justin Crum is a San Diego native and an openly gay Broadway performer. Crum wowed the country with his larger-than-life voice. And stole hearts with his anti-bullying platform.
In school, I was bullied for being overweight.
This year, he was a main attraction at the Capitol's annual Springtime Parade. The America's Got Talent fourth runner-up says the show has propelled him to new heights.
We're going on 5 months or so since AGT ended, and I have been so blessed to get to travel the entire world performing and singing and getting to meet the people that were so generous and so kind to vote for me on the show.
Crum performed the song Show Me Love at the parade. As for the performance, Crum made some new fans.
I thought he was an amazing singer. He really got the crowd excited, and the dancers that accompanied him were great as well.
I thought he was amazing. Definitely one of my favorite performances at the parade. And he says he always remembers his roots.
Hi, everyone in San Diego. I love you guys all so much. Thank you for your support on AGT. I can't wait to come home and see all of your faces.
In Washington, for KPBS News, I'm Alex Whitler.
A new collection wants to empower young girls of color with art that looks like them. From our Ohio sister station, WOSU producer Jackie Schaefer explains how the artist turned her passion into a business.
I am originally from Toledo, Ohio. My family is from Detroit. And then we all kind of migrated down here when I went to Columbus College of Art and Design. I remember being younger and like not really seeing myself in places. Like when I was younger, I couldn't find paper towels that were brown, you know? Like I couldn't, so I made my own. And I did that as like a 6-year-old little girl. I made my own paper towels, and it grew to like a collection of like 1,000 paper towels, because that's how dedicated I was, or passionate about seeing things that look like me in the world, you know? So with my work, I want to show like people of color, Black people, doing regular things, you know what I mean, existing in their regular life and being happy or being sad or being playful or being in love. Like that's all very important to me, to just illustrate those moments, because you don't see them as much as you should, you know. But I always knew I wanted to make art. I just didn't know how I could turn that into something profitable. I think it was in 2012 is kind of when I figured out that I can actually sell my artwork on products, and that's when Ariel Brands came about. I basically took my artwork and started putting on everything that I could think of, like literally printing it on everything I can think of. And so I just began to sell my work through my web store, and everything kind of like just turned around. Because I think that's one of the pieces that was missing from my childhood, is seeing art like the stuff that I make. I didn't see it, you know, so it's like being able to have access to it would be great, you know. I hope that all of my pieces they potentially can be a conversation piece, you know. I hope so. Like, that's one of my goals. But I think like the whole social commentary of some of my pieces is really interesting because people are used to seeing me like do playful stuff, and it's always really more difficult for me to do stuff that has like pain in it, you know what I mean, or struggle. But I think showing both is important. Showing both sides of the Black experience is important. I have, you know, friends who are not Black who love my stuff too and who wear it and proudly, and like they still want to represent, even though it's an experience that they don't feel directly, they still see the experience and appreciate it, or, you know, share it for what it is, you know, and I think that's important too, because we all need to have that conversation together. It doesn't need to be just one group of people. Back before, you know, when I was younger, when I was a kid, like that, I didn't have access to seeing like a Black artist, a Black woman artist creating artwork and making money off of it and actually having her own studio and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know they existed. And so being able to fill that gap feels great for me, because I know like the next generation, they'll have more examples that I didn't have when I was younger.
This WOSU report was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.